Welcome to the Senior Hour. I'm your host for the day, Dr. Thomas Polucki. Dr. Jean Dorio and Barbara Cochran are taking a well-deserved break today. In the studio, we have Dr. Mei-Lin Tao from Henry Mayo, and she's here to talk about an important event. First of all, for those of you who don't know, November is National Cancer Awareness Month.
Lung cancer.
Lung cancer specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so lung cancer combines broncho and pulmonary, so it's all one thing. So lung cancer is, there's more cases of lung cancer than every other kind of cancer combined.
Yeah, men, women, lump them all together. It definitely is not only the most number of cases, but the leading killer of cancer diagnoses amongst the American population. So I don't know if that's fully recognized. There's a lot of, as you know, advocacy work in breast cancer. We just came out of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and in prostate cancer. But lung cancer is actually ahead of them both.
Yeah, even I don't know if you know the exact numbers involved, but how much of a dent did the Truth Campaign put in that at all? Are you aware of anything? You know,
when you say the Truth Campaign, you're talking about the tobacco?
Yeah, the class action suit against big tobacco.
You know, it did have some impact, but the problem is because there's still so many smokers amongst men and women, still, shockingly. And then smoking history isn't something that's purely historical in the sense that damage that's done, just like sun damage from years gone by, it has a memory.
Sure.
So all the consequences downstream. So people in literally a generation ahead of us, when smoking was pretty much a big thing, they're now of the age in which, you know, they're ripe to develop a cancer. Yeah. So it's still very much a problem.
Yeah. So besides obviously getting out in front of this thing, which I believe is the best medicine.
Yes.
It's definitely
or early detection,
most affordable medicine out there is don't get it in the first place.
Right.
But the next best thing is
early detection.
Early detection.
Yeah. So not only is this month Lung Cancer Awareness Month, it turns out right this weekend on Saturday is National Lung Cancer Screening Day. And Henry Mayo has actually sort of just relaunched a new low-dose CT lung cancer screening program, which for the qualified patient, and that's the large majority of smokers currently or ex-smokers, is an annual screen that should be done to detect in very, very early stages lung cancer when essentially it's as curable as stage 1 cancer is in the breast cancer world. So that's where we really need to get. Most of us know that you should be getting your annual mammogram once you reach a certain age, and that's sort of routine. And if you're not getting it, it's because you're purposely ignoring not getting it. It's not because you don't have knowledge of it. But I don't think people who have a significant smoking history or currently smoking realize that that same thing should be occurring for low-dose CT lung cancer screening.
And the age group you're talking to is, what, 50 to 80, give or take?
Yeah, 50 to 80 for so-called commercial payers, because that's what the U.S. Prevention Task Force has said is the target population that will benefit the most from this. Medicare, turns out, for whatever reason, it's 55 to 77. I don't know how they came up with those slightly narrow criteria. But the point is that those insurers will pay for it, just like they pay for mammogram. It's sort of what we call, health maintenance, prevention health. So, yeah. So it's pretty much covered. And it turns out, actually, and I just spoke to a woman today, we have a call-in screening line to educate people about all kinds of cancer screening for even folks who technically fall out of those criteria, and it's really kind of a technicality oftentimes in those cases. We still know, because of their history, that they have a higher risk for developing lung cancer. The Henry Mayo's Tower Imaging actually can provide this screening for $150 for cash pay, which is actually really, really
For a
cost
CAT scan?
effective.
Yeah,
for a low dose CT CAT scan read by a expertly trained what we call reader, so radiologist who's attuned to this, what needs to be looked at, and for those who are additionally financially challenged, there are actually other funds and resources that we potentially have available too. So if you call that lung cancer or that cancer screening line, all that kind of information can be made available to you. And just as a quick plug, it's 661-200-1332, I think. If it's not 2, it's 4. So I apologize if I can't remember exactly.
Oh,
But yeah.
okay. I'm sorry. I do not have that. So I'm hoping that you got that number right.
Yeah.
So what if something bad shows up?
So screening and early detection is only the first part. I think if you're a responsible program, and honestly, if you're a responsible provider or a responsible advocate for yourself, there's the whole aftermath of that. So it gets read by an expert radiologist. That information gets provided to your primary care provider or your pulmonologist. Or if you don't have one and you're self-referred, our medical director, who is an expert pulmonologist specifically for lung cancer, will actually review the report and make recommendations about what needs to happen next. So if it's negative, yay, good news, just like mammogram, come back next year because it's only like as good as like you continue to look because these things can evolve. If there is something seen, there's a whole group actually behind the scenes of diagnosticians, experts in lung pathology that will describe what should happen next. So should you get short-term screening? Should you be considered for biopsy? What kind of biopsy? The way it's approached, there are many different ways that can be done. So and there's an explicit follow-up system that we've built in to track that kind of information, including those who the answer is just show up next year for your next scan. That's
Sure. Are there like minimally invasive options to go after this?
Yes, there are actually multiple minimally invasive options. Some that can be done with image guidance, so using, again, directed CT to guide a needle. Some that actually use your own airway, in which you can come down with a scope and actually target things with different kinds of, whether it's radar or ultrasound, and then actually biopsy a specimen that way. There are multiple ways in which that could be addressed, as well as, if it turns out to be a cancer, multiple ways in which it can be treated and don't require huge, scars and opening the chest up widely. If you catch it early, then you can potentially be a candidate for these more minimally invasive techniques.
Yeah, that is key. My whole thing is don't get sick in the first place.
Yes.
And it's such a hard sell. It's so crazy that, and I'm not judging anybody. I just don't understand why anybody still smokes today.
Yeah.
It's no mystery that it's bad. Even if you don't get cancer, it's bad. You shouldn't be inhaling anything into your lungs except for air.
Well, so I think, tobacco companies are very, very intelligent, or any companies that sort of think about, well, how do we entice, or what's the gateway for getting someone involved? So we all know vaping is a big thing. People have converted over to vaping. But the target population for vaping is teens. And, our brains are not fully developed when we're teenagers. And so risk-taking behavior is part of what it's like to be an adolescent.
Sure.
And so you make decisions, you do things, and they are very, very addictive. Tobacco is one of the most fiercely, if you go from vaping, let's say, to tobacco, one of the most fiercely addicting substances there is out there. More addicting than alcohol, than marijuana. I mean, it is powerfully addictive. And so once you start, it's really hard to stop.
Yeah, I believe because I just did an article on cancer, and lung cancer, bronchopulmonary is the worst.
Yes.
The worst there is out there. The average smoker attempts to quit 30 times. 30 times.
I absolutely believe that.
Heroin has a better track record than tobacco. And yet, somehow, it's still legal for children to vape.
Yeah. Which is the gateway, right? And make it bubblegum flavor and pink and purple. And how enticing is that?
I don't understand. I really don't. I
Well,
mean, I don't judge anybody for their choices, but I just don't understand how this is even happening.
well, that's an industry thing too, right? It's like the whole tobacco story, right? What was the actual truth and what were the companies actually suppressing so that they could become
But it's
billion-dollar
out. The
industries?
information is out there now.
Were you making the best decisions when you were 16?
No. No.
And how much times your mother said, I told you so, or
Yeah.
you knew, right? So,
Yeah, but that's 16.
yeah, it's a very, yeah. I mean, a lot of it has to do with media and advertising. And when you look at other countries, interesting enough, if you go to Europe or some of the Asian countries, for the flat out adult population, so, you know, people who, as we would say, should know better, you know, they're out of school and stuff like that, it's still a very sort of socially acceptable thing to do.
Yeah.
And the venues in which you can do it are pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, we were in Paris, and we walked in. We had a beautiful little place to ourselves. Ordered some breakfast, and then I guess a college class let out or something, and all of a sudden there were 20 students in there, and they all started smoking. And we left. We just got up and left. It was it was uncomfortable.
Yeah. A great example of the kind of person who should be thinking about lung cancer screening is actually the woman I spoke to today. So this is a very compelling story. She actually was an employee of Henry Mayo Hospital, so somebody within the healthcare environment. And back in the day when she was smoking more intensely, which was about 20 to 30 years ago, she was working at Henry Mayo, and they were actually encouraged to smoke at their work desk as opposed to in other rooms, because people were flicking the cigarettes into trash barrels and literally, you know, they would start little fires. So they said, you know what, I think it's safer if you actually just stay at your workplace and just smoke at the desk. So that kind of thinking is just, I mean, we don't obviously have that kind of thinking anymore.
Yeah.
But the problem is we still have a whole generation
Sure.
that are still in their 60s and 70s or 80s that lived that kind of very sort of pervasive, permissive environment. So,
Sure. I know that Henry Mayo is a no smoking campus, like
Right.
nowhere,
but not
not
back
allowed.
in the day.
Yeah, apparently. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was very common. I'll tell you another funny story. So where I trained in Boston, it was at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. It's pretty clear that the institute was treating cancer. Up until maybe a few years before I arrived there, right outside of the Cancer Institute was the largest ashtray you could ever imagine. It was just, you know, maybe it was like 12 feet in diameter. And it was right outside the Cancer Institute because they didn't want people smoking inside.
Right.
So that you could come outside and just smoke right outside and dispose of your cigarette. So it's just a very, you know, different society back then.
Yeah. Whew. Okay, so we know that the best medicine is, you know, avoid it. And are there other things that can cause like this staggering number of lung cancers out there? Or is it predominantly from smoking?
Yeah, I mean, overwhelmingly, there are other exposures that can give you other cancers of the chest, like, you know, asbestos for mesothelioma. That's kind of a famous one. But the truth is that's actually a relatively rare cancer.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, it really is about tobacco. Marijuana, we think maybe, you know, and you do have people, you know, we used to call them potheads. People, you know, taken a lot of it, but it's not as toxic for the lungs in terms of carcinogenesis as tobacco is. And I don't think all is lost. It's just like it's very hard to avoid sort of environmental risk factors when it comes to breast cancer, right? It's really just about early detection. So if you already have the history, you can't erase history, but you can detect it really, really early. When you look at a CT scan that's picked up an early lung cancer, that's literally only a centimeter, which is less than half an inch, compared to what you pick up on a mammogram, which is about the same size. If you get them both early, the amount of intervention you need is also minimal, and the cure rate, we're talking now 80-90%, which is a whole different ballpark from when you let someone be diagnosed when they have symptoms, when they have cough or, shortness of breath, then we're talking about 40, 30, 20%.
Right.
So
yeah, coughing up blood is never a good thing. It's not
but sometimes that's actually the large majority of the time how lung cancer is diagnosed.
Sure.
Which is what I'm saying is such a failure in the in the potential system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shocking numbers, aren't they?
Yeah. Okay, so we know smoking is bad. Is there a program at Henry Mayo to help people with that?
So for any kind of cancer screening questions, you can call in. Like I said, that's 661-200. It's either 1332 or 1334. And I apologize for not having exactly. It's not on that one, but
sorry.
Yeah, it's my bad. So like today, I spoke to someone who called in that line, and after initial intake had been taken. But we actually have materials that we make available to people. So sometimes people call in, oh, it's not for me, it's for my friend. Okay, that's fine. We can send you the educational materials so you actually have them to share. We're doing a lot of education now for primary care providers who, you know what, the truth is, they have to see a lot of patients in a very short amount of time. And for someone to be properly screened and counseled about the advantages of low-dose CT lung cancer screening, it takes more than a nanosecond. So this pamphlet, which is put out by Henry Mayo and Tower Imaging, includes all of that information. And then we all have the physician resources. Like I said, we have a medical director for the screening program. Similarly, we have medical directors for all the cancer screening programs at Henry Mayo. So it's just a matter of just calling that number, and there's a whole wealth of information that opens up.
Okay, what about someone who's trying to stop smoking?
Thank you for bringing that up. So Henry Mayo also has not very well understood or known about smoking cessation program. So there's a dedicated pulmonary rehab therapist who will individually follow patients through the whole process of quitting smoking because, as you said, 30 times, it can take a lot of different attempts, and there can't be judgment about, well, you failed, too bad, get off this wagon. So that person will take them through lots of different ways in which you can try to quit smoking. So yes, that resource is available as well too.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds great. So this Saturday.
Yes, this Saturday
is National Lung Cancer Awareness Day.
Lung cancer screening. The whole month is awareness.
Okay.
So at Tower Imaging, which is right on the Henry Mayo campus, that day will be sort of dedicated to the education of that. And even if you want to potentially walk in and get a low-dose CT lung cancer screen, that possibly is available. But it's obviously better if you call ahead of time, and then you can have that scheduled. Just like we're going to schedule this lady that I spoke to today, who's going to come in and do it. Yeah.
So Tower Imaging is in that building that's marked UCLA. Is that right?
No.
Oh, sorry.
So the main entrance for Henry Mayo, when you come through there, Tower Imaging is just going to be on the right-hand side. Right-hand side.
Okay.
So, I mean, even if you Google Tower Imaging, it'll show you exactly where that is.
Okay.
But yeah, it's literally right on the Henry Mayo campus.
I gotcha.
So that's right off of McBean, but before you hit like the UCLA or our building, which is Keck Medicine of USC, which is part of the cancer program. That's okay. That's okay. No worries. We got good signage. I'll rep that. As you're coming off the 5 and heading into town on McBean, right. Henry Mayo's right there.
Yeah, because there's like 2 entrances. One goes almost straight to emergency, and the other one.
That's the one I'm talking about. So if you just turn right as opposed to going in that roundabout area, that's where Tower Imaging is.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Keck Medicine is now at Henry Mayo.
Yeah, we actually we have a joint venture now with Henry Mayo for our cancer program. So this is only a piece of it.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you so much for cancer awareness. I don't know why it's such a hard sell. Prevention, you would think, is the easiest sell there is. It's certainly the most affordable medicine on the planet, the most affordable health care, the best prognosis, the best outcomes of anything out there. There's no comparison, and yet a lot of times the people don't take anything seriously until they're coughing up blood.
Yeah, and when we think about most prevention techniques, you as a functional medicine person understand, it's actually for your overall health. You don't smoke. It's not just about lung cancer. It's about your ability to have a good quality of life well into your 70s, 80s, and 90s, to be able to breathe, not to be on oxygen, not to have CPAP.
Yeah.
That's a different life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. So, lung cancer screening event happening this coming Saturday, November 12th, and at Tower Imaging on the Henry Mayo campus. Thank you so much, Dr. May-Lin Tao from Henry Mayo. And your background is...
I'm actually, by specialty, an oncologist specializing in radiation treatments, but I have... I'm the director of the joint venture Keck Medicine USC Henry Mayo Cancer Program on the Henry Mayo campus. So
awesome.
That's how I come.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour on KHTS FM 98.1, AM 1220, and hometownstation.com. I'm your host for the day, Dr. Thomas Polucki, your natural choice for relief in Santa Clarita. And in the studio today, we have Matt Nelson. Give me a moment.
It's a tongue twister.
Matt Nelson, you're CEO of Boys and Girls Club. And of course, we know that Festival of Trees is coming up. It's been a staple here in Santa Clarita for 20 years?
20 years, yep.
For 20 years. Mm-hmm. But first, before we get to that, because it's a great event, and I want to give it a good detailed event rundown of the show, of what to expect this coming weekend, November 18th through 20th. It's obviously there to help Boys and Girls Club. So tell me a little bit about our Valley's Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, absolutely. First, thanks for having me on the show. It's great to be here. Great to see you. Always excited to be able to talk about the club and our awesome events. Boys and Girls Club of Santa Clarita Valley. We've been around for over 50 years now. Started in the late 60s, 70s as a place for the latchkey kids to go after school as the community was growing and more people were moving here. And a lot of working parents were, having to work hours beyond the traditional school hours. So community leaders saw the need to have a place for the kids to go after school that's affordable, that they would stay out of trouble, get homework done, be around caring adults, and get, the guidance that they need. And that spirit of the club is still what carries us through today. So it's been, 5 decades of serving literally tens of thousands of kids in the community and families. We continue to keep our prices super low. Membership is $60 a year for your child to be a member and attend one of our clubhouse programs.
Wow, that's like one babysitting session.
Yeah, it's like nothing, right? It's like $5 a month. It's all about not having that barrier there, so that, whatever the family situation, whatever, me growing up, I had a single mom, 3 boys. My mom worked. She worked late nights. She worked Saturdays. After school, we walked home, and we were home alone, and a lot of us were...
That explains a lot.
Yeah, that explains a lot, right? I wish I had the club, but I remember, fortunately I did have, I got involved in sports, and I was a decent kid, so I didn't get a lot of trouble. But, kids need that place, and parents need that peace of mind that they know their kids are going to be safe, that they're going to be able to, we have a healthy snack every day. They need a little help with homework. So when you come home and, got to make dinner for the family.
So can I come?
Homework. Yeah. Yeah. We got something, a few I think we should get you involved in. Maybe our leadership development program. Because that's the thing too, is we start as young as 7 and all the way up through high school. So we have young kids who, like, the parents are really looking for a place for them to be, and then we have junior high and high school kids who are looking for a place.
So
to be.
what are the times that are covered? So is it like from noon till when, or how does that work?
Yeah, so Monday through Friday we're open till 7 p.m. So it's kind of complicated. So we've grown a lot. So I'm kind of telling like the old story. So it's a little more detailed now because we have 5 locations now. So 2 years ago we had 2 locations. So for our traditional clubhouse locations, which we have one in Newhall, one in Canyon Country, and one in Castaic. For those 3 clubhouses, we're open until 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. So if the kids get out early, we open early, like for the minimum days, early release days. And then when they're out of school, summer break, winter break, we're actually open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we're open all day for the families to come in. And then we have 2 new school site programs. We've partnered with Newhall School District. We have a site at Wiley Canyon Elementary and Old Orchard Elementary. So for those students there, we have programs on campus. And Old Orchard is open till 5, and then Wiley Canyon's open till 6. So, but for families who are maybe not at one of those schools, usually we're talking about the 7 o'clock hours at one of our traditional clubhouses.
Wow, that's great. I mean, you really can't beat that. So, yeah, I imagine funding is an ongoing challenge for a program like this.
Yeah. Yeah, we are a nonprofit, so we keep our costs really minimal to the families, to the kids, and the way we do that is from contributions, individual donations, business sponsorships. It's just, Santa Clarita Valley is an amazing giving community, and that's why the club's so strong and why we've been able to grow is because we have such tremendous support. And we do that, year round. People can make a donation on our website or, mail in a check. But then also we have these really great events, which one of them is in a week and a half, our Festival of Trees event, which we're going to talk about. And those events, just all the funds stay local, support the local Boys and Girls Club, help the local kids to make sure that they have a place to be after school, that they have, guidance, mentoring, they have healthy snacks, we have sports programs, teen leadership programs, just a lot of fun, important things that keep kids really focused. Our ultimate goal is we want all of our members to graduate high school on time and have a plan. So whether that be to go to college or trade school or military, but to have a plan to enter the workforce and be productive citizens. That's what we want to see our kids do. And I'll tell you, I've been there 19 years now, and every year, every week, like when I sit down and either talk to staff or talk to kids, I'm always amazed and just blown away by what the club means to these kids in our community.
Yeah, and I've seen it. I've seen when friends of ours were going through some rough patches, and they took advantage of the program. It is a life changer. It allows a safe environment for where you don't have to worry about what's going on with my kid when you're dealing with, really heavy issues that you all of a sudden are thrown into a situation, and now you have to worry about what happens at 3 o'clock when school lets out. So it's an amazing organization. I've witnessed it firsthand. And one question I have for you, is there any development on transportation to or from the Boys and Girls Club?
Yeah, so Santa Clarita Valley being so spread out, the transportation's always a question. We do have 7 vans that go out from our Newhall and Canyon Country location to several schools and pick up and bring kids to the club. So that's available. That there is an extra fee for that if you need that service. But that's $225 a month prorated for when the kids are out of school. So again, that's very reasonable compared to what else is out there. But that's where also I'm really proud of where we've been able to grow and expand from 2 to 5 locations to be more available and reach more kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I want to spend the rest of the time on this event because is this the big event for you guys?
This is the biggest event we put on. Yeah. People are also familiar. We have a big auction in June, which is a big fundraiser, but that's a one-day event. So Festival of Trees is a multi-day event where it's literally an army of volunteers putting this baby on. It's huge. So we've been designing, decorating trees and gingerbread houses for weeks now. Literally, there are people in our secret location designing gorgeous trees that will be auctioned off. We're going to have about 20 large trees ranging from 6 feet up to, we have one giant 14-footer that's available for bidding. And then we have tabletop trees, which are 3 to 4 feet tall, and then gingerbread houses. And those are all made by volunteers who they come in, they late nights designing, decorating, making these like gorgeous trees that then our guests can bid on and then take home.
Yeah, that's great. So that is kind of the showcase event. And it's general admission. That part of it is general admission for the 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So everybody can come and go see the trees. And then there's a couple of other things. There's a special private affair, so to speak, which is I'd like to go into that a little bit more. Is that on Friday night?
Yes, yeah. So our Magic of the Lights Gala, which is that's a private affair. There's sponsorships and tickets, and we're actually sold out.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so you don't need any plug on that one.
So if somebody really wants to get in, they can shoot us an email. We can we could put them on the wait list. Maybe if something opens up. But that's our premiere event Friday night.
Okay.
It's a few hours where it's hors d'oeuvres, cocktails, live auction of the big trees, as well as silent auction going on of the tabletop trees and gingerbread houses. And it's amazing. It's great. Like, you really feel the festivities in the air, and kicks off the holiday season.
Yeah, that's great. And then Saturday night is a live show. Now, I've been there. I think it's a little different this time. Now it's music and magic.
So we do have performers coming during the day on Saturday and Sunday. So different dance groups. So that's probably the music portion. Mm-hmm. But Saturday night is our holiday hocus pocus magic show. Yeah, there you go. So we have 4 professional magicians. Just to clarify, it's not the kids doing a magic show. This is the professionals up there, and it's $10 a ticket, and it starts at 7:00. And by the way, I don't think we mentioned where it's at.
Oh, no. Okay.
So, Canyon Country Community Center on Sierra Highway.
Yeah, and that is, for anybody who doesn't know exactly where that is, it's right on, almost nearly on the corner of Sierra and Soledad. It's just like 1 or 2 buildings in from Soledad on Sierra. Mm-hmm. So, November 18th through 20th. So the big gala sold out. Can't have it.
Yep.
Sorry.
Maybe if you know somebody who purchased a table.
I'm sure there's some out there. And then the Holiday Hocus Pocus is on Saturday night. Now that is another general admission, and it's part of the whole thing, because the general admission for the show is for the whole festival is $10, right? So is it $10 every time, or does it last all weekend, or how does that work?
So the magic show's separate. That's a separate $10.
Okay.
But everything's on display.
Right.
So you get a lot of the full effect is you can see the gingerbread houses, the tabletop trees, the large trees, and start bidding. So it's all mobile bidding. Something we've learned in the last few years is how to be really good at it with our technology.
Sure.
And so you can come see everything in person, start bidding, and then go home. And then when Tom outbids you, you'll get your message and keep the bidding going, which a few years ago, it was you had to be there in person. Sure. And you had to come back. And on Sunday night at closing, it was like a battle of bids at the very end. But now, if you're out of town, you can still participate and you can
that's
bid.
good.
So, yeah. That's
good. All right. So what else do we need to know? Jingle Jam. That's what I was talking about. Okay, so there's the magic show, Hocus Pocus, Holiday Hocus Pocus on Saturday. Tell me about the Jingle Jam.
Jingle Jam is on Sunday at 3:00, and that's a swing dance. So we have this core group of Festival of Trees fans that come out for the Jingle Jam every year and they get dressed up, and it's a swing dance, and they do a beginner's class too during the dance. So if it's something, in junior high you did dance class in PE or something, and you're like, that was so much fun, you want to come back out, but you're a little nervous about, you don't remember the moves, don't worry, there's professionals that love to teach and get everybody out there. Or you can just come watch too. They get going and have a blast, and that's during the regular general admission. Which, by the way, too, on Saturday and Sunday, Santa Claus will be there, so you get your photo with Santa. And we have a kids' corner where there's activities for the kids. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah. So Sunday is from 3 to 6. It's just from 3 to 6, or is that just the Jingle Jam?
Jingle Jam.
The Jingle Jam is
doors
from 3
open
to 6.
at 10 a.m. Actually.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So it goes Sunday 10 till
6 o'clock.
Till 6. Okay. So the swing dance class is wraps up the event there.
Yeah, they'll be dancing and zoot-suiting right up until the closing of the silent auction.
Yeah, that is way cool.
Yeah.
So Friday night, so sorry, it's sold out.
Yeah.
But general admission for Saturday night for the Hocus Pocus for professional magicians.
Yep.
And
Bring
then
the family.
Sunday night, you got a swing dance with a class. Now, usually when you go to these things, the class is before the actual dance session. So is that kind of how you're working that?
It's kind of like a party atmosphere.
Okay, so
they'll get warmed up and then stop and do kind of a let's go through the steps and everybody get out there, and it's great. It's a great environment, no judgment. But yeah. And so we should clarify too. So Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. doors are open for general admission. Come on in, see everything. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Perfect.
So 3 days where you can come in, see everything, get going.
Okay. Matt Nelson, CEO of the Boys and Girls Club. The event is the Festival of Trees 2022. They've been doing it for 20 years. This year, it's at the Canyon Country Community Center. That's on the corner of Sierra and Soledad. And it's Friday, the November 18th through the Sunday, the 20th, from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. And it just sounds like an amazing event. Matt, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Always. Welcome back to the Senior Hour on KHTS FM 98.1 AM 1220 and hometownstation.com. I'm your host, Dr. Thomas Polucki, the natural choice for relief in Santa Clarita. The beginning of the show, we had in the studio Dr. Mei-Ling Tao talking about the lung cancer awareness event at Henry Mayo this Saturday. A lot of people don't know that 1 in 2 people are going to get cancer during their lifetime. And lung cancer is the most prevalent one out there. More cases of lung cancer than all other kinds of cancer combined. And it's mostly from people who are smoking or had a history of smoking. It reminds me of the old joke, there's two runners, cross-country runners, and they're come up on a bear, and one of them just drops down and starts tightening up their laces, and the other runner says something, I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. We can't outrun the bear. And as he's saying that, the other one's already running in the other direction, saying, I don't have to outrun the bear, I just have to outrun you. So with a 1 in 2 chance of getting cancer in your life, why not tighten up your laces and do what's necessary to improve your odds? I'm halfway through my 6th decade in this body, and I'm not feeling that lucky anymore. I am doing everything, well, mostly everything. I mean, I'm realistic. I still have occasional beer and pizza or wine and cheese when I'm feeling extra fancy, and I will occasionally pop something in the microwave just because it's convenient. But I am usually asleep by 10 almost every night, and I work out every day. I meditate and take more supplements than anybody I know. I've been a chiropractic patient for over 40 years. I will be for my entire life. That may sound crazy to some people, but if that is the kind of doctor that you're looking for, you can call me 661-753-9340. That's 753-9340. Or if you just want more information, my book, Guide to Self-Care, is available on Amazon. You've been listening to the Senior Hour, KHTS, FM 98.1, AM 1220, and hometownstation.com. Now, go out and enhance your quality of life.